All right, welcome to the Eric Tries to Art podcast. So this week I'm having a combination of connectivity problems, scheduling issues, and all sorts of nonsense. So I'm just starting this on my own, and we'll see who ends up getting here. I believe it'll be Joy Lane, will be the comic I'll be talking to this week. I think she's getting in right now. I have been sucking today at getting this scheduling stuff organized. Oh my god, this is as people who listen to this know, I do multiple of these every week. Sometimes I do more than 2 a week, and then I'll post 2 a week, so you might hear something weeks after it actually got recorded. So to put this in time, but I do drop hints of what week each one is being done at. So this week is the first week I'm doing these specs. I think, oh, there we go. Joy!
Hey, how are you?
We did it! Sorry for all of the complications, but I'm so happy to have you on. Can you hear me? Oh, good. Can you hear me okay?
The new baby, apparently it's a girl. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Congratulations on the new baby.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. But yeah, so I want to talk about you. I'm so happy to have you on. So tell me, so where are you located from, and how long have you been doing stand-up?
I am currently in Salt Lake City. I've been doing it off and on since 2011. But over the last year, I've been doing it as more full-time than my hobby. So people have to either pick it as a hobby or a job, and it was my hobby for a number of years.
Absolutely. I've been doing music forever, and I totally know that feeling. I guess about 3 years ago, I just made that jump from take this seriously. Like you have to actually do it consistently and continue to improve, or you're never gonna make it at anything, you know. Yeah. So how often do you go up, and how much time do you tend to do now?
It really depends. It really depends on how accommodating the club is. It depends on the organization of the event. The longest I've ever done is like 40 minutes, and that was for my event. And it was my event, and I was like, why did it seem so long? They were like, because we never told you to stop. I said, why didn't y'all tell me to stop? They were like, your event. I was like, oh my god. But then I did 20 minutes the night that I opened for Katt Williams. So it really kind of depends on.
Not a bad show. Not a bad show. Are you kidding me? That's
it
awesome.
Was a horrible show. It was a horrible show. I was so freaked out. I was the first time me ever being starstruck. It's like if you think about the upper echelon of who you think is great, like the top mountain of who you think is great. I always thought Katt and Joan Rivers were like my top. So I met him, and then they put me on before him, and then I just freaked out. And so it was a great opportunity, but it was a horrible show because I also freaked out for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. No.
I rambled about nothing.
Oh, I was gonna say, so be honest. Was it actually a bad performance, or just internally? Because I've definitely had those shows where I felt things were just falling apart.
No, it was actually, I knew what I wanted to do. My set was tight. I knew I had 15 minutes of tight material, but I cried for like 30 minutes after I met him, and then they threw me on stage. So when they threw me on stage, mind tripping from meeting him, and then he kept walking through the club, like looking at me, which was freaking me out more. So I started to ramble. And then I wanted to cry again when I was on stage, and I was like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Just act like he's not here. And so the last 5 minutes, I actually pulled out my material.
Okay.
When I did my material the last 5 minutes, I guess that last 5 minutes was what I needed, because I ended up staying at his house for like 4 days.
What?
Yeah. It was the whole thing was a trippy mind trip. I was like, I've never been drunk. I've never smoked anything in my life. But this was the closest to me being just totally fucked up on every level. Yeah, so. All
right, you gotta tell me about that experience. What is staying at Katt Williams' house for 4 days like? What is? Walk me through that, please.
Okay, and I'm gonna give you the answer that I've trained myself to give, because you off into a tangent about him, it ends up badly.
Okay.
Katt Williams is a great comedian. Katt Williams makes it a point of making sure everyone knows he made $8.8 million last year.
Okay.
As a comedian is great. Okay? So I will say that first. As a person and as a man, he has issues.
Uh-huh.
He needs to sit down with several therapists. People who see him don't understand what it's like to be him, and he's having a hard time coping and dealing with who he is as well. Between the self-medication and the anger and the temper tantrums, a person with my personality can't deal with it because it's either we're good or we're not. He'll start off good in the morning, in the afternoon we're not, by night we're good again, halfway through the night we're not, and I can't deal with that insanity. Everyone who does comedy, and I don't care who you are, and people say I shouldn't say this, but it's the truth. Everyone who does comedy has a mental illness of some sort.
Anyone who does art, for the most part.
And it's being on a stage, being 110, entertaining somebody, going from that level of interaction, and everyone loves you for that 15, 20 minutes, and then the other 23 hours of the day you spend in a hotel room by yourself, and you got to deal with your demons. I'll say this much. He has several demons. He has issues. He has anger problems. He doesn't know how to talk to people. He's very disrespectful. And for me to be the kind of person I am, I can't put up with it because I'll choke his ass. So
yeah, let me ask you this. How long did it take, you can even measure in hours, from being starstruck before this was just another person you're dealing with?
The next morning when I left the club, when I went to leave the club, he said to me, what did you do about your lodging? I said, oh, nothing, I forgot. And he was like, well, you can stay at my house. And I was like, okay. But I knew there was a lot of other people coming.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh. So when I got back, we went to a club, and we went to the club, and like I said, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do any of that. So I was sitting there, and he was like, do you want this? And I was like, what is it? And he said it was some drink or whatever. I was like, no, Pepsi's fine. So he went and got me a Pepsi. So I'm tripping that he's going to fetch me.
Yeah, that's
Pepsi. And then after he put the drink back, he came to me, he said, we can go and talk now. So we went to the side of the VIP section, and he was like, ask me whatever questions you want to ask. I was like, do you know how much you mean to people? That was my first question for him. And he was sitting there looking at me like, yes, I do, which was fucking weird.
Yeah.
So, more questions. I said, who do you not want to work with? And he told me who he didn't want to work with. And we had like maybe a 5-minute conversation. And then he went off to play pool, and I sat down at the table with this girl named Asia Kim. She's another comedian out of LA. And she's cool as hell. Me and her said, she's like, listen, don't get caught up in that bullshit. Don't get caught up in that bullshit. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, you'll see. And I was like, what do you mean? And she kind of like dipped off for a minute. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm going to just sit here. So I sat there for about maybe 30 minutes. He came back. He said, do you want to ask me more questions? I said, no, not now. You can play pool. It's all right. It was just trippy. Yeah. When I got to the house, I knew it was weird when these girls came from, I don't know where, the cracks in the wall, like little roaches. I don't know. The little girls came.
That's an image. Just scurry out.
Yeah, they were like little roaches. One came out and she took his shoes off. And I was like, okay, that's normal for him. And another one came out and took his socks off. And I was like, okay. And it was like a succession of chicks. And then another one came out and put socks on his feet. And another motherfucker came with some slippers on his feet. And I was like, is that all these bitches do? And I'm sitting there tripping. Like, is this? But I didn't ask the question. So, but I think he knew that's what was going on in my head.
Yeah.
Or animated face. So he said, are you ready? I said, for what? He said, this is the only opportunity you may ever have to sit with someone like me in their house and interview me like Oprah. Go ahead, Oprah. I'm like, what the fuck? So when I'm like literally tripping hard. Yeah. I'm in the Malibu Hills. I'm with you sitting here in your living room, and chicks is taking your shoes and socks off. I don't even know what to say. So I sat there and talked to him till like 6 o'clock in the morning till I started falling asleep. And then he was like, I'm gonna bring you a pillow. You'll be checked on. I was like, by who? He said, every. Yeah, it's a trip. It's a mind trip. When I got up the next morning to pray, which I was praying late, he came down as soon as I finished. I mean, as soon as I was done, he came down and he said, I saw you praying. I said, you, huh? He said, I told you you'd be checked on.
Oh my!
It's a mind trip, and he's doing it intentionally.
I thought he meant that like girls would come out of the walls and put your shoes and socks on, but no, it's cameras. What the fuck?
I know he was screwing around with one of his little assistants, and she kept giving me the stink eye the whole time I was there. But I was like, "Fix your weave, mama, and then we'll talk." But now and then, be on shoe detail, you'll be okay.
Oh my god!
Next day we went to eat, and we went to eat, and then he had got into a big argument with one of the girls, and I'm sitting there like, it's not that serious. To me, it wasn't that serious. And then, I mean, everybody seemed to be in this funk after the argument happened. And I was like, Mr. Williams. And he said, yes, nice lady. I said, I think I could beat you in a foot and a race. He said, none of those feet in no kind of race. I said, well, let's try it. Let's see. Let's see. So we ended up having a foot race in the parking lot of Panera Bread in Malibu, because I'm just like being an ass at that point, because I was like, everybody's so uptight, and I don't want everybody to be uptight, especially not because I'm here. I think some
Did
of the
all
girls,
these people know each other at this point, and you were the okay.
Yeah, I was just the new addition.
Okay.
And I think that they felt some type of way because I was the girls did, because I was the new addition, and they didn't really know what my standing was. I mean, between the little side eye and the little side looks, I kind of got that they really didn't dig me. So I tried to make sure that they knew. I wasn't trying to be nasty. I tried to make sure they knew that, hey, no matter how this pans out, I'm just visiting. I'm a visitor. Y'all got to live in this dysfunction every day. So when everybody got kind of uptight, I was like, let's go outside. Let's have a race. And he was like, you can't beat me in a foot or a race. I said, you don't know that? And so we went outside, and we had a foot race. I mean, I'm trying to make light of the situation. And he won. I'll say that he won. I mean, I guess he's like a 4-cylinder Golf, and I'm more like a V8 Ford XLT. But he won, and I was still cool with it. Everybody started laughing. Everything was good. But then, like, maybe 2 hours later, there was something else that happened that had nothing to do with me, that he was in a bad mood again, and everybody was on needles and pins and needles, and I just don't like that whole vibe. So that night he was like, so are you coming in the house? I said, I wasn't invited. I don't go into places where I'm not invited. He said, ma'am, you were here the other night. I said, but everybody seems to have an attitude tonight. So I mean, I could go to the hotel. So I ended up going to the Sheraton. And he was like, well, I'll check on you. So he started calling me at the hotel, and he's actually sent me to the hotel with Anna, his security. And everything was cool. And he called me a couple times. He's like, so why do you want to stay there? I said, it seems like everybody just has an attitude or whatever, and I don't want to be in the middle of it. So, I mean, I'll be here till tomorrow. He was like, no, stay. Don't worry about it, stay. So the next day, I went back over to the house, and it was like maybe mid-morning. And everything was cool for a little while. And then, like I said, the attitude, temperament came out. But then there was like celebrities coming in. So I was like, I'm going to chill the fuck out, ignore his ass, and meet everybody.
Yeah, who else came in?
Back on Starstruck. And if you remember from the 90s, there was a rapper called the Lady of Rage who had the big Afro puffs.
Yeah, wasn't she in like the Death Row Crew, or am I wrong?
She was in one of the Friday movies too. She was Baby D.
Oh, really?
She came to the house, and she has 3 kids. She has two girls and a boy. And her oldest daughter looks just like her, and her other 2 kids don't really look like her. But she came to the door, and I was like, yo, I know who you are. And she was like, I was like, but I'm not going to fan out right now, but I know who you are, and I really like your music, and you're cool. And she was like, okay, Julia. And I was like, I guess my name is Julia.
Tonight it is.
I'm not going to correct her or anything. So I didn't correct her or anything, and she just chilled with me all day. So I'm like, great. And the problem came when somebody said, let's play spades. Let's play dominoes. I was in the military, so when you're out to sea, all you do is play spades and dominoes. So I'm good at it. So he didn't want to be on my team. He felt some kind of way, whatever. He didn't want to be on my team. So he gave me some random person who didn't know how to play real well. I guess so I would lose. But I'm not going to lose and stuff like that. So I won both dominoes and spades. Nice. And after I won, from then on, he wanted to be an ass. And I was like, this is so getting on my nerves. I was over the starstruck thing. And after I beat him at spades, he sat there and he was like, all this aggression at this table. And I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And he was like, you're playing cards like one of these people in here is your man or something. And I mean, what's going on? I was like, what the hell is it? I thought he was just tripping or whatever it was in his cups. No more attention. And I guess he felt like because I wasn't really like giving him the attention that he wanted, that he had initially when he first met me, he was going to be disrespectful. And when he got disrespectful, it pissed me off. And I'm not the kind of person to piss off because I don't care who you are. Once you're disrespectful to me, I'll reach in and choke the shit out you.
Yeah, it's a reasonable reaction. Yeah.
But I think I'm so used to doing it, and they're so used to just putting up with it.
Well, obviously he has a house full of people who just cater to his every need. How many years do you think it's been since someone said no about anything?
That's where the problem comes in at. After that happened, I went like to sit outside on this little balcony because I was like, do you want this? Do you really want this life? Do you want to have this kind of craziness every day? And I had basically psyched myself up to, I don't want the craziness, but I do want to be as popular as him. So when I joined the crowd again, I think he still felt some type of way about whatever. And he just kept like throwing little jabs at me, little smart remarks at me. And finally I told his security, I said, Anna, I really like you. You cool as hell. I like Miss Brooks. She cool too. I said, but if this little motherfucker says one more thing to me, I'm going to grab by his throat and drag him down all those stairs, take him out to that pool and drown him in that pool because cats can't swim. And she started laughing and I was like, she said, don't take it personal. I said, but I have no other way but to take it personal because now he's just being rude. You don't invite me to your house to show your ass. And that's what he's doing right now, showing his ass. So the day went on and he was up and down and up and down and up and down all day. And I mean, he's bipolar. And Miss Brooks came to me and she said, listen, you wouldn't be here if they didn't want you here. They want you here, but they want to know if you can deal with him. I said, well, I can't. I can't. And she was like, well, then you need to let him know now because it's going to just get worse if he's still trying to figure you out. And I think you figured him out. He asked me to come upstairs so we could talk about the deal that Weezy had told me about. I went upstairs. I sat down. He was getting ready to go out. And he was like, so you want to stay here? I was like, no, I don't want to stay here, but I would like to stay and get better at what I do. And he was like, so you got to give me a kiss. And I was like, what? What? You don't even really like me. You don't really even like me. You, what? So that was a trip too. And when I told him no, then it was like his whole personality just completely changed. Mm-hmm. And he started being, like I said, throw little jabs at me. And I was like, listen, the best thing for me to do at this point is for me to leave because I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me. And I don't understand how we even got to this point. Yeah. But I really wanted to work with you. I really wanted to work for you. But at the end of the day, my temperament and your temperament are not going to work together if you're going to keep treating me like this. So I'm cool. I'm cool with leaving. It's all right. I came to California to bring my god baby some cowboy boots. I didn't come here great rage downstairs. I didn't expect to meet Weezy or Asia. I didn't expect to meet that artist dude. I mean, but so it's a cool story to tell. Yeah. But as far as me and you personally, we're gonna have a day. So I'm like, I did, motherfucker. And I'm like, really? That's what we're doing right now? Really?
That's crazy. So, that whole thing is insane. That whole story is crazy.
Like, exactly.
I'm not surprised of the temperament, just because, not because it's Katt Williams, but because it's a person at that level of fame, and that tends to be what happens in a lot of those cases. But have you found other people to relate to who've had that same experience? Because I can't imagine you're the first person who's tested like that.
In the comedy industry, a little bit of significance, if not the word famous. Mm-hmm. All said, I don't see how you did it for that long.
Yeah.
I don't see how you were able to stay in his presence for that long. Especially when they meet me and get my personality. They was like, you was 2 seconds from hitting him. I was like, pretty much. Because he had a very nasty, condescending attitude. And I hate that the person that I met, when I met Johnny Carson when I was a kid,
oh, wow.
Johnny Carson was like so gracious and so nice and I was like 10, 12 years old. When I met Carlos Mencia hung out with me for 3 fucking hours and smoked weed in front of me and told jokes and was just cool. I meet Katt Williams and he invites me to his house to be an asshole. So it's kind of like, I don't even know what to say. I met Alex Thomas, and Alex Thomas was very nice and very gracious. Didn't have a problem with any of them, but I meet the one who I hold to on a pedestal and hold to the greatest comic standard, and you become just a jackass. So, at the end of the day, I think he thought that I was going to be one of his minions. At the end of the day, he thought that I had no morals and no values and none of that, and he could manipulate me how he wanted to. And I think he saw that you can't manipulate me. I'm not one to be easily manipulated.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely, and for what it's worth, when it just from how you're describing him, it sounds like even if you did go, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice my personal integrity for the opportunity to work with someone so famous, or that you admire on a comedic sense.
Do something that's on my own accord. It's not because you impose your will upon me.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to do it on your own.
And then,
I'm not. I dropped. Okay, so for everyone listening, Joy just dropped in the middle of that awesome story, so I'm going to send her a message on Facebook and let her know. Her call just dropped. Feel free to click the link and join again. Yeah. Anyway, so for those listening, holy shit. You may notice I'm not cutting in like I usually do because I don't think this story needs any assistance with editing. Oh, she's back. Excellent. Awesome.
Hello?
Hey, sorry, yeah, the connection just got lost. I last heard when you were saying how if you're going to do something, you're going to do it on your own volition. You're not going to let someone manipulate you into doing anything.
Right. And the thing about it is, if when he did my background check, and I know he did a
don't know if you can hear me. The connection is kind of laggy. It's dropped again. I sent her a message to go to a different room. But yeah. So how you guys? How are you listeners? How are you guys doing? How you guys doing? This is pretty sweet, right? Now, I'm not going to end up editing any of that stuff out, so thank you for listening through the 30 seconds of like technical difficulties. But yeah, that's crazy. Now I'm just talking to you guys. That's crazy, like with what fame tends to do to people. And oh, here we go. Can you talk again? Let me see if I can hear you this time.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, much better, much better.
I think that he just didn't know who he was dealing with. I think he thought that I was one of those Hollywood hanger-ons.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I don't never want to be so famous that I have to worry about how people are coming at me. But it's already getting to the point where I have people saying random stupid stuff to me like, hey, I should have married you and when we got out of high school because of what you're doing now. I know that's somebody I don't want to deal with because you don't see who and what I am now. I get it from a lot of different sides.
It's a scarf fucker. That's what you're hearing.
I mean, I'm a Muslim female, and I get a lot of people who go, you're Muslim and you were in the military and da-da-da-da, so we don't know how to take you. Well, guess what? It's not for you to sit up and try to dissect me. I know who I am.
Yeah.
And I get it from, that's one thing I've said consistently over the last year. I get it from a lot of different sides where people wouldn't think that I would normally get trouble from.
Mm-hmm.
And I really have to stay on my toes about who's around me and what they want from me.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate. When I was just teaching kindergarten, it didn't really, wasn't nothing I had to focus on, and I have to focus on it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I keep my circle pretty tight.
Yeah. Sounds like you've been schooled in what's coming as you rise in your success.
Right. And the thing about it is I never thought that things would turn out the way that they're turning out. I'm glad that they are. However, I don't want to be, and I get, this is a good example. When I go to pray at the masjid on Friday, I get, Assalamu alaikum, sister, how are you? Alhamdulillah, inshallah, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
I get all that, and we're so glad to have you around, and blah, blah, blah. If I leave, take off my scarf, go to the coffee house to have coffee, the same people I saw an hour ago that come in to have coffee give me the side eye. And it's like, oh, okay. Or I go and I get on stage and I say some of the stuff that I say, then it's, oh, she's sinful. But then they see me on Friday again. Oh, assalamu alaikum, sister. So glad that you. I mean, you can't wear that many different faces. You're bipolar. And it seems like society as a whole is bipolar because they can't decide how to take me from day to day. At the end of the day, they just need to know that I'm going to do what I want.
Could you say that one more time? The sound was a little bit.
For a long time, I didn't.
Yeah.
Who I am, and I'm cool with who I am.
Well, I want to. That's kind of what I want to. I want to go back and figure. So, why? Here's my question. Because a lot of people who get into comedy or art in general, they do want to get successful, and they make a lot of compromises to do so. Why didn't you? Why aren't? What makes you from your? I guess from your past and your upbringing. What do you think made you the type of person who, when put in that position, for instance, with the Katt Williams thing, where you said, "Fuck this, I'm out." What do you think in your life made you I guess the type of person who would stand up for yourself that way? Because a lot of people wouldn't. I know it's about to drop again. I don't hear you. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. Sorry if you can hear me, Joy. Yeah, okay, now it's dropped. While I was waiting for it to essentially drop, I figured I was like, oh, I don't know why do would be more pleasing to the audience's listeners' ears than just the silence. For some reason, I thought you guys would just be like, oh, well, if Eric isn't doing, then I'm gonna click this off and not listen to the rest of the podcast. Oh, there we go. Can you hear me, Joy? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey. So, just for, yeah. Okay. So
I got the question.
Oh, you got the question? Okay.
My father had money. So money to me is cool to have, but I really give a damn about money at the end of the day. I tell everybody this and they laugh at me so hard. I was like, if I got a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo with a fire pit and a hot tub in the back and a Hyundai Elantra, I'm cool as shit for the rest of my life. I don't need nothing else. And some people are like, why would you want that? Do you want the Bentley? You want no, the fuck I wouldn't. That's not me. I don't care. This truck now that I could have got rid of years ago, but it's consistent. Okay? I like my old beat up, ugly red truck with the sun spots on it. I like it. It is what it is. I don't ever think I'll be to the point where I'm being thrown an insane amount of money and I'll be, oh, I got this. Oh, I got that. Oh, I'm at the BET Awards dancing in a shiny ass suit trying to be something that I'm not. I'm not that person. I said if I ever got Well, yeah, I said if I ever got a significant amount of money, I'd go back to the school I used to teach at and I'd build them a playground. You know what I mean? I'd do some person go to the grocery store and buy people their groceries. That's the kind of shit that I do, or pay their electric bill. I'm not the shiny suit man, and I love Puffy, make no mistake, but I'm not the shiny suit girl. That's not what I don't want to just believe in. Excess is the way to be. I don't understand this whole generation right now where money is everything. Money's not everything. Okay,
you seem like the money isn't time more than money. Your time is a lot more important.
Yeah. I prefer for people to be loyal to me, direct with me, don't bullshit. You bullshit and you're not loyal, not consistent. I can't deal with you. That's a quick way to make me just leave you alone. I will say this much: I have a guy who's active duty Army right now. 3 kids, married. Does his left right, hoorah every morning. Who is a consistent person in my life that when I'm losing my or a promoter or whatever, he's like, yo, consistent, loyal person. So I will deal with that kind of person and that person faster than I'll deal with all these shiny people who come at me with hopes and dreams and promises. You can't promise me nothing, especially something I don't want.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's a very good way to phrase it. I don't even want that.
I came from money in Jersey.
Well, what led you?
You can't tell me, oh, I'm gonna give you this new Rolex. I don't even wear a watch. I don't want that damn watch. I'm good.
I've got my Nokia. That's the time. Great.
Yeah. No, and not everybody's like that. Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, even with the iPhone, everybody's like, you need an iPhone for what? My Samsung LG7 works just perfectly fine. I like my phone. Whatever. You need. I don't need none of that. That's for you.
Yeah.
That's for you.
Yeah. Well,
it's not that person. I think if more people were like me, the world would be a better place.
Well, that's fair. Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
So let me ask you this: what led to you joining the military? You have a very interesting just series of life events. So what led you to joining the military?
I joined the military because my senior year of high school, my mother decided to leave New Jersey, the holy mecca of the world, and move to Lawrence County, South Carolina, home of the infamous Klan Museum.
Jesus Christ!
And she moved to Lawrence. Yes. She moved to Lawrence County, South Carolina, home of the infamous Ku Klux Klan Museum from the enlightened world of New Jersey. And I hated it. It was my senior year of high school. I said, this is some bullshit. I need to escape from the plantation. So I went down to the Navy recruiter. Huh?
Like literally. That's where the plantations were. Literally.
Literally.
Oh my God.
Lawrence County, South Carolina is redneck capital of the world.
Yeah.
They have red trucks with red dirt, with red hair and rednecks. I can't deal with it. So, my mother moved to South Carolina, and I was like, why are we here? She said, because I don't want y'all in the city anymore. It's getting really dangerous for us there. And I said, it's not dangerous for me. She said, no, it's dangerous for us there, so we need to move here. They bought a house. Bought the house cash. Like I said, my father had money. Bought the house, and I couldn't take it. I was losing my mind. I finished my high school. I was so pissed off, I didn't invite my mother or my father to my graduation.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I refused. That's how pissed off I was. And I worked at McDonald's and Sears. I would get off the school bus, go to Sears until about 9:30 when they closed, and I would walk down the hill, work at McDonald's till midnight. I saved up all my money that year, bought me a $27 Greyhound bus ticket. And I bought a blue pleather suitcase from Big Lots. Packed my stuff the day after graduation and left. I just left. I went to the only college that had dorms. That was a technical school that would take me. Went there because I'd be away from them. Did one semester. Started doing all my stuff for the military. And the day after finals, joined the military and left.
Wow.
It was basically my escape plan.
Yeah.
And it worked. When I called my mother like a year later, she's like, where are you? I said, oh, I live in New York now. What are you doing? I'm in the military. Are you crazy? And I was like, no, I'm perfect. She said, we've been looking for you. You wasn't looking for me that hard. You really wasn't. I mean, it's the truth. My mother had 14 kids. She didn't miss one. It's okay. Wow. She didn't miss one. And I just couldn't do the whole South Carolina limited mentality, country, trailer park stuff. So I had to go. I couldn't do it.
So are you on speaking terms with your what kind of relationship do you have with your family currently? And how long ago was this?
Oh, God, if I tell you how long ago it was, you'll know how old I am, and I tell nobody that.
I was trying to, I don't care how old any of my guests are, but I like to hear the timeline. Could you give me a vague, just so I know what year around, like, what was happening in the...
I was in the military for 9 years.
Okay, gotcha. I'm also just trying to figure out if you got deployed anywhere.
My father passed 2 years ago. He had double lung cancer.
Oh, wow.
Different. But I did 2 tours on the Shenandoah. Yeah. So as far as my family, my father passed 2 years ago, age 4, double lung cancer, 70 years. Can't nobody tell you nothing. I guess Cools made him so cool that now he's cold. My mom had left my dad when I was in the military.
Okay.
They had been together 23 years. Her little hot boy, little 33-year-old little guy who walked around with a Jerry curl.
Now you're telling me what year it was.
Started dating Daryl, and Daryl. My mother was about 6. He was like 33.
Yeah.
Wow. They started dating. He was doing what young people do. My mother was a diabetic on insulin, and she wouldn't take her medicine to be able to go hang out with him and drink. And she wasn't a drinker before that. And she had a series of strokes.
Oh my God.
And now she's not. She's bedridden. She can't talk. She can't walk. She's been in that condition for about 10 years.
Oh wow.
And I tell everybody that's the magic of good penis, I guess. It make you have a stroke. You decided not to do it. I don't know.
That's a funny joke, but that's painful funny. Oh my God, yeah.
But it's the truth. I mean, me personally, if the doctor say you have X, I'm gonna go research it and decide what's the best plan for me. The doctor told her she had X. She said the dick means more, so I'm not gonna take my medicine.
God, I'm just so I couldn't find it. Yeah. Sorry, keep talking. Wow, yeah.
So, hey, I can't do nothing about it. I mean, when I told my daughter, I said, your grandmommy had a stroke. She said, again? So when she said again at her age.
Yeah, how old was she?
I was like, yeah. She was about between 5 and 7.
Oh, wow, okay.
She was between 5 and 7. And she said, again? I said, yeah. And when she said again, I was like, yeah. Even if the babies know something's not quite right, and there's no point in me being around it anymore. So I visit my mother sporadically, but her decisions were not good decisions. She comes from a time where you got married at 15, which she did. You went to school to the 9th grade is what she did. She had 14 kids, which was hot. And I make a joke about that. I understand having 14 kids when you worked in the field and picked cotton, but we grew up in Jersey in the suburbs. What the hell did you need 14 kids for? I know your pussy tired. What the hell is wrong with you, Alan? So I don't understand her whole progression in life. But what I will say about her, which is the one tribute I can give her, with the 9th grade education, I grew up in a very lovely home. We had a very nice childhood.
Did you live with a lot of her other kids?
There was like a 20-year age difference between me and some of my siblings. I'm one of the babies. There's only one younger than me.
Okay, wow. Yeah.
And I have a very eclectic family. That's putting it mildly.
Eclectic.
I have a sister actually named Isis. That's her real fucking name.
Oh, jeez.
So when people are like, when they go, you're a Muslim and your sister's name is Isis, and I'm like, yeah. And that's a whole joke within itself. I have a brother who just recently passed, who had to do double, triple life. He murdered several people in New York. He was he got in a bunch of trouble when they used to snatch chains in the city, and he murdered a couple people. So I have the murderer brother, I have the jack-off brother, I have the terrorist sister. I have one sister out of all my siblings where I guess they consider us the good ones. She's a school teacher. I was a school teacher. Her husband was a retired Master Chief in the Navy. I was in the Navy. She lives in Louisiana. She has 2 kids. I have 2 children, and me and her have the more, I guess, professional resume. It doesn't include murder and tricking and all the other craziness. So,
I count that as a win.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good win as well.
You feel pretty good. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a crazy.
1 to 10 out of 8.
So when you were telling the Katt Williams story, all I could think of was there were 2 things I could think of. One, the way you're telling the story, you're telling me all this craziness after craziness, but the perspective you're taking on it is very run-of-the-mill. This is the kind of normal stuff that happens. And you were also, the way you were telling it was you really did go very quickly from starstruck to you're just now yourself, and this is another human being you're dealing with. And that made me think, I was like, you must have had a wild life or seen some stuff, because in which you clearly have. You've had a very interesting life to the point where it's just like, no, this is more of the same. This is normal. This is normal behavior that exists in the world that I have seen, and I'm going to adapt to it the way I've always adapted to it, by being yourself and standing up for yourself, it sounds like.
Well, the one thing, when I started seeing the differences in him, I was a psych major in undergrad.
Oh, cool. I do psych for a living. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I saw that he had some kind of mental issue. Miss Brooks, Michael Collier's ex-wife, Brooks Jones. She was there and she said, listen, baby, don't let them bully you. And I said, oh, I'm not going to. And she said, I see it. And I've been put in several situations to where it could be a life-changing type of situation, but I know what I can put up with at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I'm not going to be anyone's minion. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let you manipulate me like I'm a puppet. Because I got to wake up and look at myself. Like I said, you're on stage for 30 minutes. For the other 23 and a half hours, you got to deal with yourself.
Yep.
I couldn't look at myself in all good consciousness and be like, this little half a pimp is running around.
Holy shit.
Trying to make me be what he wants me to be. And when we started arguing, because we started arguing outside of his house when I went to leave, I said at the end of I was still married at the time. I said, at the end of the day, my husband looks like Johnny Bravo. I don't fuck water. And he just didn't know what to do with me. I'm not going to be phony and fake and all the rest of that to get something. Just like that opportunity presented itself to me, it might be a year, it might be 10 years, it might be 5 years, it might be 20 years before I get another opportunity like that, but it will come again because I feel like I'm God's favorite person on the whole wide earth. There's nobody that he favors more than me. I've been in some fucked up situations, no mistake. And for me to come from those jacked up situations to be in Malibu in your house and you're catering to me and you're bringing me Pepsi and you want me to have your attention and me to have yours, it's like that was planned already. I have no control over that. It's gonna come again. He's a stepping stone. To me, Katt was a stepping stone, learning experience, and now I know how to deal with those quasi-celebrities. Yeah. And that's what I took from that. I'm great. I was born to be great, and I'm gonna be great in the end. But I'm not gonna be selfish and hostile and nasty and condescending in my greatness.
You sound like somebody who would make a good celebrity. Like an actual, like I think you would do fun stuff and treat the people in your art form well.
Yeah, I'm the kind of have phone parties in my garage for the kids in the neighborhood because it's a Monday and we ain't got nothing else to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But, yeah, I mean, hey, life's too short, and nobody's greater than Allah at the end of the day. And I know why he put me here. He put me here to have some level of greatness. Now, if that means I'm going to go on Jimmy Fallon one time and then just go off into obscurity, then that's what it'll be. If it'll be, I end up, my V4V organization becomes nationwide, then that's what it'll be. But I wasn't meant to just stagnate because of other people. I wasn't meant to stagnate because of other people. I was meant to be great in some level. I was meant for greatness in some level. And that might be the greatest teacher in America. Great. It might be I go back to teaching kids to read. Great. But I wasn't put here just to be a number.
Absolutely. So tell us where we can find some of it, whether it's your comedy, whether it's, I don't know, a Twitter page, whatever it is, where can we find some of this greatness? And tell us your V4V then.
Okay. I'm on Facebook. My Facebook is on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I never turn my Facebook off because there's so much stuff going on Facebook, good and bad. But it's Joy Lane, Allah's favorite, on Facebook. My Twitter is Joy Lane at Allah's favorite. I told you I'm Allah's favorite.
Well, yeah, you got the Twitter handle, so it's true.
Yeah. Well, no, I also own allahsfavorite.com. I have a .com, allahsfavorite.com. Because, like I said, I firmly do believe I'm God's favorite person on the whole wide world. I am. It sucks, and it's a little bit blasphemous to say it, but it's the truth.
At least on the internet.
Well, like I said, he wouldn't have put me in some of the situations that he's put me in if I wasn't. So, also, I have 2 organizations. One is the EJDS Child Abuse Prevention Project. It's the Ethan, Jonathan, David, Stacy Child Abuse Prevention Project. It's basically just to teach people about the different forms of child abuse that are out there. Whether it's medical abuse, dental abuse, physical, there's so many different types of child abuse. I also am the founder and the organizer of the Veterans for Veterans comedy. We basically go to a bunch of different military installations. I have a large portion of the comedians who are active duty or veterans from the military go and perform for active duty and veterans at different places. We've done Hill Air Force Base. We've done Jacksonville, Florida, Mayport Naval Yard in Mayport, Florida. I keep saying Jacksonville. I should just say Mayport. We've also done, we were going to do Fort Stewart, Georgia, then we were going to do Hunter Army Airfield, but they were sending us through a lot of changes. So since I'm an alumni of Armstrong in Savannah, we did the event at Armstrong Atlantic State University in Savannah. I'm going back to Hill this Saturday. We actually have another show coming up at Hill Air Force Base this Saturday. I'm working on Nellis Air Force Base in Vegas, and hopefully we'll be able to get that one done July the 1st. I'm in talks about Barksdale Air Force in Shreveport, and I want to do San Diego Naval Shipyard. And that's kind of in talks back and forth right now with NWR. But my ultimate goal for the V4V is to go to Korea. We just got one of our first sponsors, and if everything goes right, this year we will be in Korea next October, which is great. But I'm throwing a lot of attention into the V4V. I'm getting a lot of good, positive responses from the V4V. I'm very happy with that. V4V has a Facebook page as well as Veterans for Veterans Comedy. You can like it. You could also send us donations, which is great, which all goes for travel and getting the comedians from here, there, and wherever. Everything was actually coming out of my pocket for the first year. I can't do that anymore. It's hard. It's hard to move 50 comedians around the United States on a teacher's salary. But we've been actually filled to the rafters at every event except for one. And that one event, it was a hard time for people to find the location. So a lot of them were texting me going, "Where's it at?" And I'm like, "It's over here." And they're like, "We give up. We've been driving around for an hour." But every other event has been filled 100% to capacity. Yeah. I'm very happy with the response that we've been getting. To my boy G Rich, he's been putting a lot of time. In fact, he's that person I was talking about who, I call him my comedic husband. He crosses the T's and dots the I's for me when I'm just overwhelmed with other things. But like I said, he's active duty and he's at the majority of venues with me. But I have a really good team from Terrell Felton, ex-Army, retired, to Nicholas Don Smith, to Chris Dow, to Greg Kite. I have some really good, solid Natasha Maurer comedians who come and take their time and their money to come and do this for the military. I'm very, very proud of my team. My team does 110%.
That's awesome.
And that's why I try to stay around. I'm not around people who got that grand, jacked up ego. I can't deal with it.
Yeah. All right, well, if you so if you can send me I know we've been talking on Facebook. If you can send me any links you want me to post up when I post this podcast, that would be awesome. To put them up there.
I can send them all to you, my love.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me. This was so awesome, and I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And nobody's too grand. Anytime you need anything from me, if I can accommodate, I gladly will.
Absolutely. Well, I'll hit you up in the future.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Congratulations on the baby.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.